What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Off the Schneid, little weekend episode for you. Bored on a weekend, thought I'd throw up a little episode, a little exposure talk. We're pretty close to being done free agency. There's a couple of stragglers. Justin Fields just got moved. I'm sure everybody knows about that one. Tyler Boyd's still on the market, which is an interesting, thing that no one scooped him up yet. KJ Osborne just went to the Patriots today, which is just another wide receiver that can do a lot of the same things than the guys that they already have. So that should be interesting how that works out for a rookie quarterback potentially, unless they just want to like full tank for a guy like Drew Alar next year or something like that. I don't know. We'll see how it works out with the Patriots. That should be an interesting one to keep an eye on for the draft, which is getting close. So this is kind of that was the title of the episode, the calm before the draft. We're just over a month away. Unfortunately, if you've been watching this channel, I was waiting and hoping for Braylon Allen to run a 40 time, compare that with a guy like Audric Estime, see where he, stacks up. Wanted to see at least a 4.5, that sort of thing. He didn't run it at the combine, didn't run it at his pro day this past Friday. So we're going to have to, I guess, I've been trying to find some miles per hour from a game in college. I haven't been able to find anything yet to kind of compare. I've seen people saying 4.4 speed, but I don't know. That's, if he's running 4.4, then why didn't he run the 40, right? I mean, the only thing you can take away from it is he didn't run the 40 because he wasn't going to run fast enough. Essentially, is that's got to be, that's got to be what it is. And he knew he wasn't going to run it fast enough, and it might hurt his draft stock. Makes sense to me, I guess. Audric Estime runs a 4.72, and his stock has pretty much plummeted realistically since the combine. So that's the only thing I can kind of take away from it is Braylon Allen was just concerned that he wasn't going to run fast enough. And now we're just left to kind of wonder what he would have ran. So it is what it is, for better or for worse. Maybe that's a good draft strategy for him to avoid running the 40, avoid the scrutiny, and just, rely on his game film. I don't know. I wanted to see a 40. It is what it is. Can't do anything about it. But here we are. So wanted to talk just through a little bit of some exposure stuff with all of this free agency movement, right? And trades. This has been a bit of a crazy offseason, but the offseasons have been getting crazier and crazier. It's a lot like Major League Baseball, NBA, not like it used to be in the NFL where guys were pretty much owned by the team and they didn't really move around. 95 entries in the big board. I have 3 slows going right now. So I guess you could say I'm at 98, 52 more. I got tons of room. I'm really happy to have some drafts to hide some exposures. So let's take a look at just the big board exposures. We'll take out the 20 little board or whatever it was. Max that one out, but I just want to talk about the big board here. So quick look at the main exposures. A lot of running backs. Marshawn Lloyd, I'm happy with that. I got to keep it around there. I need to stop drafting him so much, but it's a weird landscape with running backs right now, I think, in the best ball world. So I've been doing a lot of hammering running back early, which, the piss yellow, zero running back bros will hate. But I think that I can get an edge later with wide receivers, especially rookie wide receivers. I'm going through every single NFL team right now. This is part of what I do for my own draft process, going through every single team, looking at their team needs. I'm not seeing a lot of running back, and I am seeing a lot of wide receiver. Obviously, in today's NFL, you can't have enough good wide receivers, just like you can't have enough good corners. So every team should be looking at a wide receiver and a corner at some point throughout their draft. So I think I can pick off, some talent, guys like Bateman. Rashad Bateman is going super late. Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, guys like that. Even if the Giants draft somebody, I still think they can have a role. So some quality vets are falling, and there's some rookies that you can pick off towards the bottom or towards the end of drafts where I think I can make up for those wide receivers, especially if I'm just hammering the position, pissing yellow, if you will, 15th through 20th round, and just killing it with volume, quantity over quality. and just having the quality at running back, quarterback, tight end. I'm only doing this where I'm going 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 5 running backs, and then it allows me to get 11 wide receivers where I can just hammer the volume and just hope that, I can get at least one late round wide receiver to hit to go with a couple of my early round wide receivers. That's kind of what I'm doing right this second. And we'll see what I get to in a draft here in a little bit, what my strategy ends up being. But I've been doing that a fair amount. And we'll kind of talk through it more once we get in a room. So Marshawn Lloyd, James Cook, I love. I think he's undervalued right now. I think, RB13, I think he 100% finishes as an RB1. So a top 12 running back, top 10, potentially a top 7-8 running back is where I have James Cook right now. So I'm going to keep, picking off shares of James Cook as it goes along. Jahan Dotson, I think he's in a great spot for a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, to come in there, and he's going to have a massive role, I think. Cliff Kingsbury offense. The team is improving all around. They need to do some work on the offensive line, but I like Jahan Dotson there. Eric Gray, I've been talking about, on the show. I like him. He could be this year's Kyron Williams, but I got to pull back that exposure. It's a little aggressive. I've been drafting him too much. I've been putting a full stop on drafting him right this second. I'm just going after other guys like Israel Abanikanda, Tank Bigsby, even with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some of the guys that I think they are the handcuff, they are the straight up backup running back. Instead of a guy like Eric Gray, I gotta temper. And that's, again, why I have so many left. I got 52 left where I can not draft Eric Gray, pull that exposure back, and then I'm happy with where I'm at. Brian Thomas, fully happy with where he is there. Ray Davis, he's just in a spot in the draft where he can be your final running back. Even in these 5 running back builds, if I went, 4 straight or for my first 5-6 picks, I can bring back Ray Davis as my final running back. Even Jalen Wright, he's the same sort of area. A little later for Ray Davis for sure. And he's the last kind of rookie running back that I'm drafting, at least right now, until some things kind of clear up. Treylon Burks, I was drafting him a lot before Calvin Ridley came in. Now I'm pretty much, if I can get him in the 20th round, I'll take him because he might be the slot receiver there, and he could be, 600-700 yard type of wide receiver, couple touchdowns, maybe a spike week guy. So he's not off the board for me, but I definitely do not want to have 25% Treylon Burks when the season starts, or when this contest is over. So if I can pull that back to 10 to 15%, that's where I want to be. I'm really, really not drafting him. I got to pull that exposure back. Trevor Lawrence, I like that, but let's go more specific here. Quarterbacks. So T-Law is my number 1. Jared Goff, I really like with Ben Johnson coming back. They need to add a wide receiver, I think, in the draft, but they can do that. And that's another reason why I'm drafting these wide receivers, these rookie wide receivers. Deshaun Watson, I just think is undervalued if he's that guy, if he hits. He's QB 24 right now. I think we can all agree he has top 15 at least. He has QB1 potential. Is he going to get back there? The Browns are doing everything possible to give him that opportunity. The offensive line is in a fantastic spot. They just brought in Jerry Jeudy. They still got Elijah Moore. They got Amari Cooper. If Deshaun Watson doesn't do it this year, you have to give up on him. You have to somehow get rid of that contract. You have to do what you can. Maybe bring in a rookie, whatever. You have to do what you can to move on from Deshaun Watson after this year. If he doesn't succeed, you have to pull the plug. Will Levis, same thing. Brian Callahan comes in, my former Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator, fantastic offensive mind. Will Levis has all the tools that you need. And again, they're bringing in everything that he needs to be successful. That offensive line still needs a little bit of work. But Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, both can catch the ball out of the backfield. They bring in Calvin Ridley. They still have Nuke Hopkins. They got Treylon Burks, who I just mentioned. They're in a good spot. They're in a very good spot, I think. And I've been touting the Titans for a long time, and finally people are on board with me. So we'll see how that works out. Obviously, Joe Burrow. Who do we got? Russell Wilson. He was that last quarterback that you could still get. As far as I was concerned, he was still on Denver at the time. But as far as I was concerned, Russell Wilson was going to be starting somewhere. That's kind of how I looked at Russell Wilson, regardless of whether it was in Denver. Obviously he's now here in Pittsburgh, and it sounds like he's going to be the starter, and Justin Fields is going to bring up the rear, be his backup sort of thing. I like that. I don't want to get too much more exposure. Right around 10 to 15%, I'm perfectly fine with. And he's my quarterback 3 in any 3 quarterback builds. Caleb Williams, I like. I want to add a little more exposure to him there. And he's a good, you can get those stacks. You can bring in Cole Kmet. You can obviously get Keenan Allen. DJ Moore was a guy that I thought was going to move up into the first round. Then they obviously make a trade for Keenan Allen. So that pulls back. He's dropped in ADP since that trade, which he should, of course. But it kind of hurts my DJ Moore shares and what I thought he was going to be. Not that I have a crazy amount of DJ Moore, but we'll get there. Bo Nix is a guy that I think is going to come in and start for some NFL team, whether that's the Broncos, the Vikings, maybe the Las Vegas Raiders. Who else? Even the New England Patriots, potentially not at 3rd overall. I do not think that they're drafting Bo Nix 3rd overall. But maybe if they trade down, that sort of thing, he might go to a team like the Saints. There's lots of options for a guy like Bo Nix, and he's a guy that I really like, probably more than most. He's my QB 4, maybe 5, but I think he can come in and start for an NFL team. Not quite week 1. You don't want to just, hand him the keys, to the engine or to the car week 1, but I think he has the capability. I think he's smart enough. I think he's talented enough. I think he can come in and start. So I like that. If I'm not getting JJ McCarthy, if I'm not getting Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, those 3 quarterbacks, Bo Nix is kind of my guy. So you see where I'm at there. Let's move to running back. Marshawn Lloyd, I really like. I need to slow it down a bit, but there's a potential that he ends up with the LA Chargers. There's also obviously a potential Blake Corum ends up with the LA Chargers. Gus Edwards comes in. He's going to definitely get some run. He's going to have a role, so he's absolutely draftable. Talked about James Cook and Eric Gray, Ray Davis. Jerome Ford, I think, is probably going to – it certainly is going to have a role in this offense, and I really like that role, the running back role with the Browns, with that offensive line, with Kevin O'Connell. He's in a good spot to get some touches and get some run and definitely be fantasy viable. That's for sure. Running back 41, I think it's pretty easy for him to overcome that, especially if they move on from Nick Chubb, which is possible, or if he's just not that guy anymore. He just can't get back to where he was, which is entirely possible given those knee injuries. Jerome Ford, skyrockets up this board. Let's say for some reason Nick Chubb gets just dropped, which is entirely possible. Jerome Ford becomes, I don't know, running back at least in the top 24, at least minimum. So I like my exposure here. I'm going to keep it around this 20% range, right around there is where I want to keep it. And then Braylon Allen's the guy I kind of really wanted to touch on. Again, didn't run a 40, which really I don't like. I really, really wanted to see a 40. I wanted to see him run a 4.5. If he runs a 4.5, he's in running back 1 territory for me this year as a rookie and coming into the league, but he didn't run it at the combine, didn't run it at his pro day. He's, you can't sit here and just be like, what else can you say besides he didn't think he'd run fast enough, or he knows he wouldn't run fast enough, right? It's kind of a red flag a little bit. He's obviously massive, but I just really would have liked to see him run a 40 and be in that 4.5 range. And then, his draft stock would have been fine from there. So we'll see. Teams are obviously going to bring him in. Maybe they'll do a workout, hand time him, that sort of thing. I don't know. We'll see. I want to keep it around here. I'm certainly not drafting him, but he's definitely slide back a little bit for me. And I'm only picking off shares here and there. Obviously, I'm drafting Marshawn Lloyd before him. I'm drafting Jalen Wright before him for sure. I'm drafting Trey Benson before him. But if, it's between him and Audric Estime, I'm definitely going Braylon Allen. Audric Estime has been do not draft, since the combine. And this is pulled back. I think he was up here in the 24 range, right around in this area with these other rookies, Allen and Wright. But since the combine, I haven't drafted him a single time. I'm still trying to pull back these shares. Hopefully I can get it under 10% is where I'd like to be. But we'll see how that works out. Chuba, I think, is absolutely viable. Got to slow down on Ty Chandler since the Aaron Jones trade, but there you go. There's my running back, exposure and a little bit that I'm trying to do there. A little bit about wide receivers. Talked about John Dotson. Talked about Brian Thomas. Talked about Trey Burks. Rome Odunze, I've said it many times on this channel. I just think that he's that guy. He's my favorite wide receiver in this draft. He's my wide receiver 2 in this draft, and he's my favorite wide receiver. So I'm definitely going to keep picking up shares as much as I can and just cross my fingers and hope to God that the New York Giants do not draft Rome Odunze. The Jets, I would love the New York Jets to draft Rome Odunze. It'd be a great fit and another weapon for Aaron Rodgers. That team's looking super deadly if Rodgers is healthy. They just need another weapon for him. No questions asked. They're drafting somebody at a top level, especially with bringing in Tyron Smith for left tackle, part-time left tackle kind of a guy. He's not going to play every single game. He's not going to play every single snap. So they're going to need another weapon. Rome Odunze might be that guy at 10th overall. Maybe they can trade up and get him. We'll see how that works out. They got Garrett Wilson in the same kind of area. I think it was 10th or 11th, something like that, a couple of years ago. So it's possible. Javon Baker got to slow down. I really like Javon Baker, especially again when I was talking pre-show a little earlier there about rookie wide receivers. He's a guy that you can pick off late, 20th, 19th, 20th round, and he could be your final wide receiver. If he has a good landing spot, I really like the talent there, but I got to slow down a little bit. I'd like to be 15 to 20%, slow down a little bit on Javon Baker. Adonai Mitchell, Roman Wilson, Xavier Worthy. Look at all the rookies in here. What have I been saying? Malik Washington's in there. Jermaine Burton, I like. Xavier Legette, I really like. So yeah, these are all. Look at, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 wide receivers, and 9 of them are rookies. That's what I'm doing. There's just a lot of teams that need wide receiver help that can play a pretty prominent role pretty early in their career kind of thing. They can come in and be a borderline starter, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 in an offense this year. So that's what I'm kind of focusing on, is a lot of rookie wide receivers, especially the ones that I think have a ton of talent, like Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, Adonai Mitchell, Roman Wilson, Xavier Worthy, obviously. That's what I'm doing there. A little bit on tight ends, then we'll jump into a draft. Sam Laporta, I'm drafting a lot. He just goes in a range where it's very convenient to draft him. To be honest, there's a lot of wide receivers in there that I don't particularly love, and there's not very many running backs at all that I really like. I think Travis Etienne goes in that range. Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry are moving up into that range, but it's just very convenient to take Sam Laporta, and especially how much I like Ben Johnson coming back with Jared Goff, with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can draft him with Jahmyr Gibbs. There's all kinds of options there. So I like drafting Sam Laporta. Again, if I'm doing a lot of 2 tight end builds, which I am, Sam Laporta is a great start. And then you can bring it back later. Even Laporta and Schultz is perfectly fine. Laporta and Jake Ferguson, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Laporta Pitts, right? There's a lot of spots that you can just draft 2 tight ends and then fill out the rest of your rooms. So trying to get a little more exposure to David Njoku, Dalton Kincaid. Again, look at all these guys that are 2 tight end type of build, talents, right? Trey McBride, Pitts, even Schultz a little bit, Ferguson, Njoku, Kincaid, and Laporta all fall within that. Give me 2 of those guys, and I think I'm okay at tight end. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. Nothing really major that I got to pull back on that really scares me. No concern at the tight end spot right this second. Maybe Noah Fant in Seattle. I was hoping he would land with my Bengals or just another team where he'd have more opportunity. But with McDonald, coming in, and the way that he ran, the way that the Ravens ran their offense, it could mean that he's going to have a large role. But Colby Parkinson and Will Disley are both out of town now. So I don't mind this exposure. I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't think I need to make it a focus, though. But if I'm building out a 3 tight end room, no offense, a perfect, final tight end to bring in. So there you go. A little bit on exposures. And that's kind of, I just want to look at it too while we're doing this so I can see where I'm at, see where I need to pull back and where I need to add, who I need to kind of mini fade, that sort of thing. So there we go. That's just in the big board, but let's jump into one. Let's jump into a big board. This will be 96, 58% full, 3 move on, 3 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 10, 558 seat final. I like that. And 200K up top. That'd be super sweet to bank that. So let's jump in. Let's jump into one. Zoom in for us. That's good enough. There we go. All right, waiting for 5 people. If you're in the chat, jump in. Little traditional, little dark ale on this Sunday afternoon. Don't mind if I do. So where do I want to be? It's actually interesting what's going on with these ADPs right now. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's falling. We all knew that. We've been talking about that on the show every single time. He's going to keep falling. What's surprising to me is Bijan Robinson surpassing Breece Hall here, getting ahead of Breece Hall in ADP, and he's going to be ahead of Justin Jefferson, by tomorrow. So very interested to see that. I'm taking Breece Hall ahead of Bijan Robinson. That's for sure. I have it ranked McCaffrey, Hall, Robinson. So I think that my exposure to Bijan will fall and Breece Hall will move up. The influencer 101. You gotta love it. If anyone's in the chat, drop your spot and your username, maybe. KY Bengals, gotta like that. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. I hope it is. Who do I know here? I've definitely drafted with KY Bengals. Clarky I've drafted with. B Barth. I'm sure. Tall Dark Stranger, I'm sure. If you're in the, like I said, if you're in the chat, drop your draft position and username, and let's get into this. But I'm going to be drafting Christian McCaffrey here. I just like to take the 1-1 as much as I can whenever I can, because I need some exposure, and the only time I'm going to get it is in the 1-1. So you kind of, unless you want to take a stand and draft, nothing but CeeDee Lamb, first or second, which you could do, and I couldn't really fault you for, but I like to just go ahead and get the 1-1 when I can get them. And, Christian McCaffrey realistically is the 1-1. It just is, right? So there you go. There's a stand right there. Jamar Chase goes second overall. Maybe this guy, TMI 1978, if he's top 4, he's drafting Jamar Chase every single time, as many times as he can, and he's just taking a hard stand. Perfectly fine, strategy. It really is. It really is. But it's not something that I do personally. I was doing that a little bit with Justin Jefferson when he was going top 3. I was fading him a little bit, that's for sure, because I knew there was a good potential that Kirk Cousins was not going to be a Minnesota Viking, and that obviously just kills Justin Jefferson's value. So there you go. I still think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to move above Justin Jefferson probably before the end of this tournament. I don't see why he doesn't. And I think A.J. Brown probably moves ahead of Puka Nacua. At least it gets a little closer. It's pretty negligible now anyways, but I think that that's how that's going to go. Garrett Wilson, I think, moves ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs for sure. Kyron Williams has slid down, which it should. He should. There you go. Amon-Ra St. Brown right after Jefferson. I think he moves ahead of him. Like I said, Garrett Wilson moves ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. Nico, this is crazy to me. Yes, he had a fantastic year last year, but that was also with a lot of not having Tank Dell in the lineup. I'm not drafting him there. And the Houston Texans were in on Keenan Allen before that trade to the Bears. So clearly the Houston Texans are going to be bringing in another wide receiver. If they brought in Keenan Allen, what does that do to Nico Collins' ADP? For me, it absolutely tanks it, right? So that's this ADP makes no sense to me whatsoever. I have 0 shares in Nico Collins, and I'll keep it that way until I'll get my exposure after the draft in Best Ball Mania throughout the summer if I have to. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not drafting Nico Collins at this ADP. Period, cut and dry. It is what it is. Putt Daddy, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. 80 drafts, and I've drafted JJ only 2 times. Can't do it anymore unless he falls big time until I know his QB is 100%. 100%. Let's see what my exposure to Justin Jefferson is. I think I got like 6. I think I have like 6 out of 95 drafts. 5. So I fully agree. And that's exactly what I thought. And I'm sure you thought the same thing. And that's why you weren't drafting him. Because it was just super, super on the table that Kirk Cousins was not going to be a Minnesota Viking. And then what? And that's where we're at right now, right? And then what happens? JJ McCarthy. Do you really like Justin Jefferson? Even like, where does he fall if it's Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy? Which is pretty much what's on the table here. How is he even still going? Where did he go? 6th, 7th. How is he even still going 7th? If you think that JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold are throwing him the ball, he should be behind Amon-Ra, no question. Probably behind Puka, pretty much for sure. Behind AJ Brown, Drake London. Wow, he's going to be a guy that definitely moves up. Jefferson, right around this Garrett Wilson range, right here, right at the 1-2 turn, has to be where he falls, in my opinion. So I'm not drafting him either, unless I can get him at the 1-2 turn, which is never happening. But if you can get him at even 10th, 11th, 12th for sure, then yeah, I'll take Justin Jefferson. I'll just bet on that talent, that's for sure. But as it sits right now, yeah, I'm just pretty close to being out on Justin Jefferson until he continues to fall to where I think he should be. Josh Allen goes, where do we got here? I like taking some Jalen Waddle here. I like mixing that in. Do I want to go that route right now? I kind of do. I still like Rashee Rice here. I don't think let's go with Jalen Waddle because I'm going to take him. I like him here. And then I'm probably going to go with my guy Debo. I just can't not take Debo. I'm a huge Debo Samuel truther. It just is what it is. Actually, no, I have Christian McCaffrey in this build. That's fair. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go Rashee Rice. Yeah. Let's go Rashee Rice. So Christian McCaffrey 1-1, Jalen Waddle, Rashee Rice. I'm trying to continue to add more shares of Jalen Waddle. They're a team that's definitely going to need to add a wide receiver. Absolutely in this draft. I think that's 1,000,000% going to happen, whether it's early or late. A lot of holes on this Dolphins team this year. We'll see how they end up. But to put a bow on this Putt Daddy comment here, yeah, I don't know how he's still sitting at 7-6 is where his ADP actually sits at, but getting drafted 7th overall, not going to happen for me. I'll be taking everyone that went ahead of him, Amon-Ra, Puka, AJ Brown, all ahead of Justin Jefferson. And then we'll kind of see where it lands from there. Jahmyr Gibbs has got to fall. This is still crazy that he's getting taken 10th overall. Kyron as well. Doesn't make sense. Even though, early in the show, I was just saying how much I want to be taking running backs early, which I do, but only if it makes sense, only if it's reasonable. I'm still taking Garrett Wilson over both of these running backs. I'm taking AJ Brown over both of these running backs. But I'm pushing up guys like Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane. I'm pushing those guys up the board a little bit because I like them here, right in here. And at that back end, granted, if guys like AJ Brown, are gone, I won't say Garrett Wilson because he's there most of the time. I'm usually double tapping running back when I'm at the 1-2 turn, the back end at the 12, 13, even 11, 14. I'm taking a lot of 2 running back build. So we'll see how this levels out. Josh Jacobs continues to move up boards. That's fair. That's fair. I get that. I'm okay with that. I'd like to get a little more exposure, but yeah, I'd like to get a little more exposure, but I just think this is getting a little rich. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know what to do with Josh Jacobs, if I'm being honest. I did have an interesting build couple drafts ago where I went with the full Philly stack, the Philly wrap, if you will. I went AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, and then I got Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith with my first 4 picks. Super risky. I'm not building a ton. Like I'll do that probably just that one time, maybe one other time just to have an interesting exposure to it. Obviously, I'm hinging on the Eagles being, one of the better offensive teams this year, which is not crazy. So I don't hate it. I'm not going to do it too many times, that's for sure. I might have 1 or 2 builds where I have this full Philly wrap stack, but I thought it was an interesting build just to get 1 or 2 exposures to that, if you will. This is where we're at here with this little bit of a dead zone for wide receivers. This is why it's so convenient to take Sam Laporta, especially if he falls a little bit, if he slips into the mid to late 30s, if he's going up against Malik Neighbors, Devontae Smith, Cooper Kupp, Tank Dell, even Michael Pittman, I'm taking Sam Laporta a lot. Like I said, he just goes in a convenient area where you can take, especially right here, if you go Amon-Ra and then Sam Laporta, obviously he's going to be bringing in Jared Goff. You have to in this case. You really, you don't have to, I suppose, but it makes just too much sense to not bring him in, right here at the 113, bring in Jared Goff, and then finish out your double stack with Detroit, Ben Johnson back. Those are the 2 number 1 pass catchers. It just makes too much sense. So again, yeah, that's why I'm taking a lot of Sam Laporta as well. He just goes in a convenient area to take your first tight end, and then you only need 2. So that's what I'm doing a lot of, is just 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, hammering running back, and then bringing back the wide receivers late. James Cook just went, so that hurts. I'm not going to be able to build out a ton of. I'm going to have to go fragile running back, which is not the end of the world. It's just not what I've been doing a lot of lately. I've been trying to hammer running back. So I could go Patrick Mahomes here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Rome Odunze and Trey McBride. I like Zay Flowers here. I don't mind Zay Flowers. I could totally bring in Patrick Mahomes to pair him up with Rashee Rice and then bring up a late Hollywood Brown. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. I have Tua with Jonnu Smith potentially I can bring back. And then drafting Trey McBride, I can get Kyler Murray in there. So I like that. Again, something I'm really focusing on. I've talked about it 2-3 times, touched on it already. 2 tight ends. That's it. 2 tight ends, and as much as I can, 2 quarterbacks. 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks. And then if I can do it, 5 running backs and then hammer wide receiver. I'm starting to build that out a lot. In this build, I'm pretty confident I'm going to have 3 quarterbacks. So I can bring in Kyler Murray and then, Tua as well, with a late round, Will Levis or even a guy like Derek Carr or whoever. Let's look through it here. Caleb Williams, maybe, but not likely. Trevor Lawrence, I do a lot of. Jaden Daniels, I like. Even Aaron Rodgers, potentially, if it makes sense. A lot of Deshaun Watson in these 3 quarterback builds where I can get Njoku. And this is a prime example of what I like to do. bring in Trey McBride, bring in David Njoku, get Jerry Jeudy to come in, get a late Deshaun Watson at my double stack Cleveland Browns, and then build it out that way with these three quarterback builds. And that might be what I do here. Might be. It very much might be. And then I could bring in, I'd hate to do a 3 tight end build here with Trey McBride and Njoku, but I could bring in Jonnu Smith with Jalen Waddle and Tua sort of thing. So those are kind of the options that I'm looking at. At least that's how I feel about it. And just, pray for me that Rome Odunze does not go to the Giants. If he goes to the Giants, we're gonna be in some trouble. Fingers crossed. That would really, 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 really hurt, because that is just the absolute dead zone. And I don't think they do. Honestly, I don't think they do. I really don't. It just doesn't make sense. Go, trade back, draft offensive line, draft defense, get yourself a quality corner or something. That's a super, super likely and logical spot for a Minnesota Vikings trade up for JJ McCarthy. Just makes too much sense. And then they can go any which direction the Giants want. Add draft capital. They're a terrible team. They're not a good team whatsoever. So I think that just is where it happens if it goes the way we all kind of think. If it goes Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Vikings trade up for JJ McCarthy. I believe they're 5, unless the Chargers are 5. Chargers are 5, maybe. That makes sense for them to trade down too. They could go, a lot of people saying Joe Alt to the Chargers, which is possible, but then who plays right tackle? Like, you kick Joe Alt over to the right side? I guess you could. Rashawn Slater has proven that he can play left tackle at the NFL level. So you who's going to go and play right tackle? I guess Joe Alt. But again, I trade down if I'm the Chargers. They've clearly stated that they're in a bit of a rebuild, and their defense has a ton of holes. The offense has a ton of holes. Do they really draft wide receiver? Does Jim Harbaugh come in and they draft a wide receiver at 5th or 6th overall? I should probably hammer down the friggin' order, so I'm not talking out of my ass here. But regardless, is he really going to draft a wide receiver that high? I really, really do not think so. But is Joe Alt the guy, as in the same conversation, is Joe Alt that guy? I don't think so. I think the Chargers trade down. I think the Giants trade down. I think that's the way you got to go. But realistically, there's only one team trading up for a quarterback, and it's for JJ McCarthy. Has to be, given all the speculation, all the chatter out there, it has to be JJ McCarthy, and only one team's going to be trading down. So unless another team's trading up for a wide receiver, which is completely plausible, Malik Neighbors and Jerome Odunze are both there. So does a team like the Jets trade up with the Giants maybe, or with the Chargers? There's a lot of options here for this year's draft. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of things that could happen. It's going to be really interesting. I only do one mock draft officially. I only put out one mock draft. It's about usually a week before the draft. So I'll have that episode. I live stream it. I'm looking forward to that. I'm starting right now I'm not starting right now, but I'm putting in a ton of work right now to build that out. It's going to be really fun. I can't wait to do the episode. It's one of my favorites every single year, but it's going to be really interesting. And I could see a lot of trades in the middle of the top 10. I think the Chargers and the Giants are very, live to trade down. I think one of them 100% trades down and a team trades up to one of those spots for JJ McCarthy. Has to be. We'll see exactly how it works out, but that's just the way I'm looking at it. So I started Christian McCaffrey on the 2-3 turn. Jalen Waddle, Rashee Rice, Rome Odunze, and Trey McBride came and joined the squad. We're on the clock. All that babbling, and I was not even thinking about who I'm going to be drafting here. Probably going to go with Dak Prescott. Could go Trey McBride. I am actually picking off some shares of Tony Pollard here. Well, let's go Dak Prescott and probably Tony Pollard. Even though I was talking about how much I like Tajay Spears still in this offense, I also like Tony Pollard. And I'm just trying to get these running backs rooms filled out here. There we go. So I definitely want to be bringing in Jake Ferguson, which I'll be doing in the next turn, 96, 97. If he's still there, it's possible that he's not, but I'll be definitely picking him if he is. And then it's another team, the Cowboys, that you can draft wide receivers. But to put a bow on that last conversation there with the draft, it's going to be really interesting. I'm excited for this year's draft. I think it's going to be a little crazy given the offseason that we've had so far, given all the wide receiver talent that's in this draft and all the teams that need wide receiver help. There's a ton. And it's a very good draft here for wide receivers. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, Tony Pollard, I think I'm giving him a little more love right around here. As I've said before on this channel, I guarantee you I'm the only person that you know or have heard this from. I didn't have one single share, and I had, I don't even know, 400 drafts last year, something right around there. It's not the most volume in the world. It's not like I'm Eagles. It's not like I'm James Brimacombe doing thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of drafts, right around 400. I did not have a single share of Tony Pollard last year. Not a chance I was drafting in the first round. And I was pretty right on that one. But now, different team, way different ADP, that's for sure. A year removed from this injury, the broken leg that he had. Yeah, give me some Tony Pollard. Give me some. I'll take some, especially if he keeps falling. And it's a weird range of running back. I have a ton of Ramondre, but I pulled back a little bit there. Antonio Gibson comes in, and that team is just going to be really poor. They're just not going to be very good. The Patriots, obviously, I think everybody knows that. So, how much opportunity is Ramondre going to have? I think Tony Pollard has more opportunity to score fantasy points. So I think that should flip-flop that ADP. I think Ramondre should fall behind Tony Pollard for sure. And we'll see where it kind of lands. So David Njoku is another guy that I could definitely take. I would take Jake Ferguson over Njoku in this case if they're both there. I highly doubt Njoku's there, so I'm not too worried about that. Where else am I going? I'm trying to pick up some more shares of DeAndre Swift. I like the spot that he's in. I would put him, I guess, there. I'm picking back-to-back, so it doesn't really matter. What else do I got here? Another bit of a dead zone right here. Little bit of a dead zone in the draft right here, especially for this build. This is a weird draft for me. Oh, Kyler. Geez. Kyler, you bet. If he's still there, Joe Burrow is plummeting for some reason. Why? Jamar Chase at 2. The Jamar Chase drafter picked Josh Allen. Not a bad strategy there. T. Higgins drafter could get him here. I would definitely take a naked Joe Burrow if he's falling, almost 20 picks past ADP. I actually did that a couple drafts ago. He fell to like 93 or something like that with his 73 ADP. I took him. I don't give a shit. I'll figure something out. Bring it back with Mike Gesicki. Iasovis is there. Charlie Jones is there. You can draft rookie wide receivers. Chase Brown you can bring in. I would fully take a naked Joe Burrow at this point. You're getting potentially a top, for sure, potential is top 5 fantasy for Joe Burrow. He's a top 3 quarterback just in the league, real life. And there you go. There's a naked Joe Burrow right there. It makes tons of sense. You getting that kind of value, scoop it up. Don't ask questions, just take it. And figure it out later. It's pretty easy to do. Really hope I can just go Kyler or Jake Ferguson here. That would be nice for me. I don't really love how this team is shaping up, if I'm being honest. I don't think I like this the 101 spot. It just kind of, unless things fall certain ways, it's kind of weird how you can build. Like it's just strange. Oh, and there goes Kyler Murray for no reason. That's good. That's good. Jake Ferguson will probably go as well. That's fun. Um, I guess Jalen Warren's on the table. I could go Austin Eckler here and build out bring back Jahan Dotson and Jaden Daniels later on. I've even done this where I take Jameson Williams this late, and then I bring it in with Jared Goff. There goes Eckler. I don't mind Jacoby Myers here. Adonai Mitchell. There goes Jake Ferguson. That's fun. Yeah, I hate this team. This is a bad spot. I don't like where I'm at. I do not like how this team, and there goes Warren. Jeez, everyone I'm thinking about taking just goes. I'm going to go Zamir White with one of these picks. I don't want to take Tua here. If he falls, then I'll take him. And I'm going to go Adonai Mitchell over Xavier Worthy because I have Mitchell ranked higher than Worthy in my wide receiver rankings that I've shown on the channel. But I hate this team. I really don't like this team at all. I don't like the way it's building out, but it is what it is. I got enough talent. It's not like this team. This team certainly has a chance to advance, I suppose. But I don't like how this team is shaping up. If I'm being honest with you. And there goes Tua. That's fine. Yeah, every player I had queued up just gets sniped. Boom, boom, boom. It's not shocking because, realistically, I was hoping they would fall past ADP a little bit, but you can't hope or expect players again. I was just saying with Joe Burrow, pick him naked and figure it out later. You could even say that with a guy like Kyler. You could bring in Dortch. You could bring in Michael Wilson. You can get your back stacks with guys like this. Yeah. Jake Ferguson, I take him all the time just as my second tight end, like I said, or first in a 3 tight end build, second in a 2 tight end build. So yeah, and then Jalen Warren and Eckler, just boom, 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 all 4 of the last 5 picks were all guys that I had queued. That's how she goes sometimes. You got to zig and zag. That's why I hate all this teams being built, but we figure it out. You figure it out, you do what you can. 120, 121. Let's try to get ahead of the game here and see who we want to be drafting. So Jared Goff, again, that's a guy that I take a ton of. He's, I think, my highest exposed quarterback, or he's second maybe, because I'll take Jameson Williams and Jared Goff. I'll take Gibbs with Williams and Goff, Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra. There's tons of options there to bring in Detroit Lions. Plus, I think that they draft a wide receiver not early, but a little bit later. That's, again, when I showed my exposure, I have a ton of late round wide receivers, rookie wide receivers, because I think they go to some of these teams and they have a role right away. Chuba Hubbard, I like. I would definitely go there. I'm trying to fill up my running back room as quickly as I can. And if I can get a guy like Chuba with this build, I'll add one more later, maybe like a Jalen Wright, maybe Braylon Allen, someone like that I'll bring in, and I'll only do 5 running backs. So with the way that this is shaping up, I think that I'm going to have to go that route. If I get Dalton Schultz specifically, I might be okay with just 2 tight ends. I might be okay with that. That's pretty much as far as I'll go, considering how early you pick a guy like Trey McBride. The amount of draft capital I'm sinking into the tight end room. If I can get specifically Dalton Schultz, because I think he finishes certainly where he was at. He missed a few games last year. So he should certainly get up to 100 targets, even if they bring in a wide receiver, even if they draft a wide receiver, even if it's at, what are they, 23 now, where they just made that trade, something like that. Even if they bring in a wide receiver there, I still think Dalton Schultz is going to get his. Like, he's going to get his, I think. So 100 targets, 65 catches roughly. You know, he could be in that 800-yard range, 5 to 8 touchdowns again. That's perfectly fine for a tight end too when I got Trey McBride. So maybe I'll take Dalton Schultz and just call it a day at tight end. He's on the table. I don't mind Gabe Davis here. Boomer bust, you know, best ball Gabe Davis, the best ball special. Don't mind that. Jaden Daniels I could go with if I want to go Jahan Dotson as well. There goes Chuba Hubbard. Wow. That's fine. That's who I'd go with. I'm taking Chuba Hubbard above Jonathan Brooks. That's for damn sure. I'm certainly taking him above Devin Singletary. And this is a bit of a dead zone. That's why I'm picking, you know, Trevor Lawrence a lot here. Super dead zone. Justin Herbert, you just can't. I mean, 20 picks past ADP, he might be viable here. He might be, but I just don't want to take him. I think Dalton Schultz is on the table here. Actually, Trevor Lawrence and Gabe Davis makes tons of sense. That just makes tons of sense for me with what I'm building, with there being no running backs that I'm willing to take. If they're there, I got to go that route. I need some stack action, some staction. Did he just, Dalton Schultz. There we go. That makes sense. So that makes sense. And then I can bring back Parker Washington, who I like this year, given Calvin Ridley being gone. A little bit of value, half round value on Trevor Lawrence. And look at this range. Like, who else are you picking here? ACL injury, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, who's always hurt. Plus, I always say on this channel, and if he ever sees me in real life, he's going to beat me up. Glass jaw Dallas Goedert, who, you know, gets dropped no problem with one punch. Video evidence. It's not just me talking out of my ass. Keon Coleman, Cole Kmet, I like, but only in certain builds. Like, yeah, it's pretty easy to just take Trevor Lawrence there. So at least that's how I look at it. He's got to improve at some point. It's kind of, you know, where it is too. Like, he's got to get over the hump. He's got to improve at some point. He's got to figure out the NFL game. And, you know, I think he will. It's just kind of a matter of time. And hopefully that's this year. The offensive line's in a great spot. You know, they got two pretty quality running backs. They got a tight end. They got wide receivers. They got weapons. It's kind of now or never. It's not now or never. It's not like they're going to give up on Trevor Lawrence, but I'd really like to see him take that next step. That's for damn sure. I like him as a player, and he has all the talent in the world. He has all the skills, all the tools. You know, he's big. He can run. And I think I'm okay at quarterback here. I could just do two here. I could just do two quarterbacks with Dak and Trevor Lawrence. That's another reason why I have so much Trevor Lawrence, because a lot of times I'm only drafting two quarterbacks with Trevor Lawrence as my QB2, right? So, you know, if I got Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, I'm good. You know, if I got certainly Josh Allen, but that's a little too rich even. Yeah, that's a prime example. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Trevor Lawrence, I'm good. Definitely Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going A-Rich and Trevor Lawrence, and that's it. I'm adding a third quarterback. Even with CJ Stroud as well, I'm adding a third quarterback. Jordan Love, I'm adding a third. All these guys, I'm adding a third quarterback for sure. But he's that perfect, you know, QB2, whether it's either in a or QB1 in a 3 quarterback build. That's, you know, thin, but you can get away with it, I think. And yeah, considering how this draft is going, I got to get ahead of the game here and figure out who I'm going to be picking, because it's not going well. 144, 145. Where are we at? Let's scroll the F down. Jalen Wright, Gus Edwards. I like that. I didn't get enough Gus Edwards, and I'm over here saying that he's probably going to go to the Chargers. What an idiot I am. I'm over here saying on this channel, on this show, that Gus Edwards is probably going to the Chargers, and it's the number one landing spot for running back, and then I just don't draft him. Fucking idiot. That was pretty dumb, but whatever. It is what it is. I called it, and then I don't draft him. Like, use your head, man. Marvin Mims is certainly on the table here. Curtis Samuel, absolutely, especially considering I don't have a Buffalo Bill at all. Adonai Mitchell could be one. We'll see. He's right in that range if they want to draft first-round wide receiver. I don't think they do. I do not think that the Bills add a first-round wide receiver. I don't. I think they have too many other needs. And there goes Curtis Samuel anyways. But I don't think they do. I really don't. I think they have other needs that need to be addressed that are a little more important because they brought in Curtis Samuel with Khalil Shakir, with Stephon Diggs. I certainly think they will draft a wide receiver. I just don't think it'll be in the first round unless someone falls or they really like somebody and they trade up. Then, maybe. There's a lot of dead zone. There's a lot of dead zone stuff here. If they're there, I'll take Jerome Ford and Zach Charbonnet if they're there. I'll probably take Brandon Cooks begrudgingly just to get some sort of help with my DAC, my naked DAC that I'm sitting here with. I do want to get a running back here for sure. Don't need a tight end, so I'm definitely building out a 3 tight end build. That's just is what it is. I'm locking that in. This might be a 3-6-8-3. This might be a 3-6-8-3 build. We'll see what I want to do at the end of the draft with quarterback. It's not necessary, but it might be. It might just end up being that. We'll see. Definitely got to go Cooks, I feel like. And then I really like one of these 2 running backs. Let it happen one time. Let it happen for me one time. Fingers crossed. And there goes Cooks. Okay, then I'll take Quentin Johnston if I have to. Pat Freiermuth with Russ. Danger Russ. They need wide receiver help. Van Jefferson isn't going to get it done, even though I might fall into that trap depending on what they do in the draft. Not drafting Van Jefferson yet. I've drafted too much of him in his career so far. I liked him as a rookie, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. But they will be adding in the draft. It's just a matter of where. And they're typically, second, third, fourth round wide receiver drafters, and they move on. If you watched the show last week, I talked about what the Pittsburgh Steelers do at wide receiver. But if they don't, if it's not till fourth round, third round, fourth round, Pat Freiermuth gets a boost. So he might be a guy that is on the table here for me. If Ford and Wright are here, I might just double tap that. And then, there we go. There goes Jerome Ford. And Jalen Wright goes here. I'd be willing to bet. Oh, Kendre. So I'll go Jalen Wright for sure. And I guess QJ. I guess. Yeah, I don't like it, but I'll do it. Pipe dream for my Chiefs to get Higgins, no money, and since he wouldn't do it, but that's the latest on Higgins. But what's the latest on Higgins? Higgins is going to play, man. Higgins is going to play for the Cincinnati Bengals on the franchise tag, unless they get a deal done, which I said last week. I think it's possible. Like they have, I don't even like 60 million, 50, 60 million in cap space right now, my Bengals. And with the cap continuing to go up 30 or 30 something million this past year, it just went up 220 to 250. It just went up. What's it go up to next year? The cap is going nowhere but up. So they, as long as it's a reasonable contract, just depends on what T. Higgins is trying to get for money. to be, and I've said it time and time again. I said it last week. I'll say it right now. T. Higgins is not a wide receiver one. He's not. Everybody thinks he is. Good on you. If you want to pay T. Higgins wide receiver one money, if you want to pay him upwards of $30 million getting there for wide receiver one, it's not quite that, but it's getting there. If you want to pay that, be my guest and go ahead and take T. Higgins off my team. He's worth what the tag is at. Mid 20s, low to mid 20s. You give me 23, 22, 23, 20, maybe 4 AAV, average for T. Higgins. I'll take him on my team on the Bengals. I'll take him as a wide receiver too. We still got to pay Jamar Chase, who's going to get that wide receiver one money. He deserves it. He is that good. Obviously, everybody knows that. And he is going to get that money. So we got to pay it. We do a fantastic job of drafting. So I think it's possible, but it's just a matter of what T. Higgins is actually asking for financially. So I don't know. I think he's going to play for the Cincinnati Bengals on the franchise tag this year, and then we'll see what happens. The Bengals are not a franchise that are going to bend to somebody's will. Look through the history. Go over the track record of players asking for trades, thinking they're going to strong arm the Bengals. And that's not me talking like that's not necessarily a good thing. Right? It's not necessarily a good trait for a franchise. I'm just saying that is what it is. The amount of time I've been a Bengals fan for, that's how she goes. They're not going to just say, "Okay, sir, we'll trade you, no problem. Hopefully you have a great career, not on our team. Hopefully you come back and beat us twice a year or whatever." It's just not going to happen. And it's certainly not going to happen for the Chiefs, Putt Daddy. You know that. There's no way they're going to trade Higgins to the Chiefs. That's borderline. Like, it'd be the same as like an in-division, the Steelers or the Ravens or something like that. It's just never going to happen. So we'll see. But that's what I think is going to happen with T. Higgins. And I hope that he is reasonable. If he is reasonable, then I'm okay with the 3-year, 23, 24 million AAV, maybe with an out on the final year, ends up being basically a 2-year deal, 4-year deal, even being a 3-year deal, something like that. I'm perfectly fine with. It's just a matter of what he's asking for. I think too many people are saying that he's a wide receiver one, and he's not. He's really not. He's a very, 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 very good wide receiver two, but he is not a wide receiver one. And if you want to pay him, be my guest. I don't think the Chiefs would want to be paying him wide receiver one money either, 28, 30, whatever, right up there, over 25 million a season sort of thing. I do not think the Chiefs would be, in that business. So that's my thoughts. Hope that answers the long rant. Hope that answers, what you're looking for there. Randall Ducott, what's up, man? Thanks for coming in. Good to see you. Hit that like button, guys, if you haven't. Appreciate it. Helps me out a ton. I'm trying to grow this channel out some more. If you haven't not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. I'm going to go live a little bit random besides Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night at 9 Eastern, we'll be live. But might get a weekend or Thursday, something like that. You never know. We'll be going live. Braylon Allen, I'll certainly take with this value. Tate Otten, I like. Ricky Pearsall. With Ricky Pearsall, if Daniel Jeremiah likes him enough as a top 50, saying that he can start for a team this year, again, with all the teams that need wide receiver help, I like Ricky Pearsall too then. I'm not about to sit here and think that I know more than Daniel friggin' Jeremiah. It's not. I don't. I do not. If you're watching this channel thinking I do, sorry to burst your bubble. He definitely knows more than most. That's for damn sure. Wan'Dale Robinson is fully viable right here. I like that. I like Wan'Dale Robinson, even with Daniel Jones, perfectly fine with him. He slips a lot too, so I'm okay with taking him at ADP here. But I love taking him in the 180s. I'll pick him up every single time in the 180s. I'd really like Tate Otten here. This is a perfect spot for Tate Otten to go with Jake Ferguson. Yeah, snipes me on 2 tight ends. Good times. But that's not the end of the world. I'll definitely take Pearsall. I'd like a running back, but there's nobody that I want enough. And these are the types of builds where I end up with Ray Davis. This is a perfect example of the types of places where I take Ray Davis, especially with this build, blah, blah, blah. Just makes too much sense. And I think I might right here. I might do it right here. I don't love it. And I have a little too high of exposure. I'm getting up there with Nick, NF42 on Twitter. He's on the Fantasy Dog Pound channel a lot. He's got like 60% Ray Davis. But it just makes sense with these builds, man. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. I kind of got to do it. I got to do it. I don't like it, and I could take Jalen Hyatt later if I want a giant wide receiver. So there you go. That's what I'm doing. Appreciate small channels to watch because it's true drafter that is humble and keeps her practice with no ego. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. No, I'm certainly not right a lot. I full faded Tony Pollard last year. Fully right on that. First round Tony Pollard. I also fully faded Breece Hall last year. So you win some, you dim some. You know what I mean? I avoid running backs that tear their ACLs. And that's why I have 0 Jonathan Brooks. More because he's a rookie too. Him being a rookie with the torn ACL, I don't love that. He's got to come in. He's got to learn the offense. He's got to earn the trust of the coach. He's got to earn his playing time, all that kind of stuff. Coming off a torn ACL, it's going to be tough to do that. Yes, he could, come out and kick me in the teeth like Breece Hall did and be like the number 1 running back in the last 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season. If that happens, Selah fucking V, man. It is how she is. Like, what am I going to do? It's a rookie running back. I'm not out here thinking that he's going to come in and just tear the NFL apart. Not going to happen. I don't think. If it does, then that's how she goes. But yeah, check your ego at the door, man. There's no anyone that thinks they're right all the time or right 100% of the time. Don't watch their channel because they're fucking liars and it's bullshit. You know what I mean? We're all wrong. The NFL is wrong, for fuck's sakes. Like, how often is the NFL wrong on quarterbacks, especially? Hardest position to evaluate in the NFL. Most important position in the NFL. Most important position in sports, period. And the NFL gets it wrong constantly. How the hell are we supposed to get it right? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, if you have an ego in this game, then you're an idiot, and it's just silly and kind of pisses me off. Good info to derive from watch people like you and PPR Tyler, best ball guy. I'm not sure who those guys are. I'll take a look. I'll take a look at who those guys are. I like the Fantasy Dog Pound. He's a good guy. Pat, I've had him on the show before. He's a good guy. I like how he does things. He's very similar. Eagles, James Brimacombe, friend of the channel. I've had him on multiple times. He's a great dude. He'll show you everything. One of the most volume best ball drafters that exists is James Brimacombe. Does thousands and thousands of drafts, literally like 3,000 or something crazy. He has no ego for this. I like the Spike Week guys too. Eric Beimfor and Coakley. What's his first name? Jeez. King Coakley is his handle. But anyways, those guys are good. Plus, they have an excellent product, the Spike Week product that I should probably get, actually. I talked about it before on this channel. I'm really thinking about investing in it. It's like $300, which is a fair amount. But hey, if you make it back in a best ball tournament, it's worth every penny. So I'm thinking about it, humming and hawing. I really, really should. Biggest reason why I'm humming and hawing about it and why I think I need it and want it, because it breaks down the combinations that you have. Like, how many combinations of Dak and Trevor Lawrence do I have? And then do I have them stacked up? Do I or do I not? I don't know. And that'll kind of tell you. So it's a fantastic tool regardless. And I think I should probably invest in it. Rob Coakley, Vapor. Yeah. Vaporware knows his stuff too. He's a good Twitter follow. I think we follow each other on Twitter, I'd imagine. Does a lot of volume. Vapor knows what he's talking about. That's for sure. So there's tons of good content on Twitter. Tons. There's also a shit ton of bad content and people telling you what they think that you don't know, if that makes sense. There's a lot of egos in this game. A lot. So unless you work for an NFL team or you're a former scout who worked for an NFL team, even some of those guys don't know shit. It gets crazy. It gets crazy out there. But anyone that has absolutes, I avoid anyone that has absolutes. If they think it's 100%, this is it. Back when Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker were coming in the league, there's people saying it was Breece Hall and then everyone else. Kenny Walker is not even close. I had Kenneth Walker as my my running back 1 in that draft. Was I right? It's super negligible, really. It's super, super close, even now. Jatavian Sanders, Jalen Hyatt. Let's make it easy on ourselves. I like Jatavian Sanders, big slot. A lot of Dalton Kincaid in there. If you watch tape. There you go. And that's the other thing. I watch tape. I put in a lot of work. I show spreadsheets that I do. I have tons of spreadsheets that I do to help myself. And if it helps anyone else, wonderful. Wonderful. Take it, don't, whatever. If it works for you, it works for you. So, yeah, anyone that talks in absolutes, I just completely avoid and don't interact with and don't listen to what they have to say, that sort of a thing. You think you know more than somebody else? I don't have time for you, to be honest with you. Because we're all out here wearing a blindfold, clicking buttons, trying to do the best we can, essentially. That's what we're doing, right? Let's scroll through the team. I hate this team. I really don't love it at all, but it's really not that bad. It's not a bad squad. I just don't like it. We got Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey from the 101, Tony Pollard, Zamir White, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, who I have a little too many shares of, but it is what it is. We got Jalen Waddle, Rashee Rice, Rome Odunze, Adonai Mitchell, Gabe Davis, Quentin Johnston, Ricky Pearsall, and Jalen Hyatt, Trey McBride, and Jatavian Sanders in the tight end room. I think that I'm just going to build out a 3-6-8-3. It just makes too much sense to build that out. I feel like it's a little fragile kind of everywhere. I have to get 3 tight ends. No questions asked. Have to have 3 tight ends. I think I'm okay at wide receiver that I could be fine with 8. I think I'm okay. This is a little fragile for me with Tony Pollard, sharing the load with Tajay. Zamir White, the Raiders are probably going to be adding a running back. That's almost certain in the draft. So there's competition there. Jalen Wright, maybe he's a Raider. Ray Davis, maybe he's a Raider. And then we'll see what happens. So I gotta, add another running back for sure. So yeah, 3-6-8-3 is pretty much where we're going with this. Pretty much where we're going. What are we at here? Where's our next pick? 216, 217, and then the last pick of the draft. So I'm going to have to scroll down for that last pick to at least have, an idea of who I'm going to get. I would go JJ McCarthy. I would go Daniel Jones. I would go Bryce Young. And if I miss out on all of those guys, did I get Marvin Mims in this? No, I didn't. I think that Jared Stidham is viable especially if you're stacking. If you got Marvin Mims, who I like a lot, it's super fragile, and you certainly have to have 3 quarterbacks to get Jared Stidham. But a coach like Sean Payton doesn't give a shit what people think. If people disagree with him, that Jared Stidham's the quarterback. So yeah, he's viable is what I'm getting at. Bo Nix, certainly viable. And there goes some quarterback action. I got to stop queuing guys. But JJ McCarthy will be where I go here. You never know, the outside chance that he's a Charger. To be honest, JJ McCarthy could be a Giant. He could fully get drafted by the New York Giants. Because Daniel Jones ain't it. They know it. Everybody knows it. Daniel Jones ain't it. So JJ McCarthy could be a Giant. A lot of random chatter about Justin Herbert getting traded from the Chargers for them to draft JJ McCarthy. That would be the silliest thing you could possibly do. So I don't think that happens. If it does, then wow. That's all I'll have to say about that. Mike Gesicki's viable, but I don't think he just owns that role. I think Tanner Hudson coming back hurts Mike Gesicki a little bit. Tank Bigsby, I don't mind, but not with what I'm doing here with this Jacksonville staction. Definitely like Israel Abanikanda. I just think that he is the true handcuff. So I will be taking him for sure. I will take JJ McCarthy if he's there for sure. Darren Waller, I've been saying this on this channel for years. I just don't think he wants to play football. And I think he retires. I said this when he was with the Raiders, that I don't think he wants to play football. Something changed with him. He just does not seem motivated in the slightest. And it's shown been very evident watching him play football. So I will not take a single Darren Waller share. That's for damn sure. This guy might take, he's pretty fragile. He might take JJ McCarthy. And to be honest, I would. Makes sense for him to do that. He's even got Hunter Henry as a New England Patriot. It's possible that he goes there. If that happens, then I'm 4 quarterbacks, eh? Can't say I agree with that. So in that kind of a situation, I'm going to have to take a guy like Jared Stidham or Bo Nix. But I can wait on that. So I'll go Abanikanda for sure. And Mike Gesicki. Still hate this team a lot. Hate this team. Take Mike Gesicki. We'll take Abanikanda. And then my final pick will be a quarterback, 3-6-8-3. Man, I hate this team. But you can't love every single team you draft. If anyone says they do, they're lying. You don't love every team you draft. Hopefully it doesn't happen on stream every single time, because this is a bit of an ugly one. At least in my opinion. This is below my standards. It's really not that bad. It's really not that bad, but I just hate it. I just don't like it. At least I avoided some exposures and I got to slow down on Adonai Mitchell. I really cannot wait until draft night to see where Rome Odunze goes. He's just my guy. He's just my guy in this draft. He's my wide receiver too. He's my favorite wide receiver. I see just a ton of Jamar Chase when I watch Rome Odunze play. Just please don't go to the Giants. That would be a disaster. I'm really curious where Ray Davis goes to, and the draft capital, more importantly. Same thing with Jalen Wright. Yeah. Michael Penix. I have Bo Nix ahead of Michael Penix. That's for sure. In my quarterback rankings. But yeah, I think Jared Stidham's viable, guys. I really, really do. I like that team sucks. They might be the worst team in the NFL, the Broncos, and they're going to be bad. So what's the point? Why would you trade up? Why would you trade up for JJ McCarthy right now? Because you're not getting, unless you're trading up for, Drake May, and you think that Drake May is going to be the savior of your franchise. I highly doubt that. So I think Jared Stidham is going to end up starting for this team. Unless Bo Nix goes to them at 12 or wherever the Broncos are at. I think they're 12, 11, 12, whatever. 13, whatever it is. Unless they go with Bo Nix and he just beats out Jared Stidham, which is possible, but still unlikely. Sean Payton doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks about what he's doing, clearly. So I think he starts Jared Stidham. He likes him. He thinks he can start in this league. If that's what he thinks, then I got to be okay with it. It's kind of, just react with what the league is telling you. Don't try to overthink it. And what we were talking about earlier with Randall there with other people, um, with egos and things like that, they think they know more. like, like it's crazy on Twitter how many people on Twitter think they know more than the NFL. And just take the information that you're given. You know, if the NFL is telling you something, if a team is telling you something, believe it. You know, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Oh man, Theo Johnson, not viable for me. I think Theo Johnson is Darnell Washington from last year. Same thing. Not a big fan. Blocking tight end. And he's Canadian. I've said this before. He's Canadian. And I'm usually a homer for those types for Canadians, but not for Theo Johnson. Sorry, bro. He's just not very talented. Been a rookie piggy this contest, Vapor? Me too. I showed the exposures. Especially at wide receiver. The rookie wide receivers, I'm gobbling up. Everybody needs wide receiver help in this draft. Almost everybody. The fantasy football counselor guy. Yeah, what a joke that guy. Is that the guy? That's what you're talking about? You're talking about he's a joke? I sure hope so, because I don't like that guy whatsoever. You guys will join if I do another? Let's do another. Fuck it. I'm not doing anything. Let's do another. Why not? Why not? It's Sunday fun day. People in the chat, we're talking, bouncing things off each other. I love it. And hey, if you think I'm wrong about something, tell me. I'm okay with that. I'm happy to hear it. You got to adjust. You got to go with the flow. You're not going to always be right. That's for damn sure. What's the motto? What's the Off the Schneid motto? If you're afraid to be right, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. All right. Get this one out of the way. We'll join one more. We'll do one more for tonight. Let's go. Why not? Jared Stidham, welcome to the team. Hate the team, but that's fine. All right, let's jump in another one, guys. If you guys are in the chat, jump in. Hopefully it's not like full right now. Waiting for 10. We got tons of room. Let's go. Waiting for 9. Tons of room. Water's warm. The water's nice. Come on in. Vaporware, we've drafted tons together. Jump in. Randall, what's your handle? What's your username? I don't know if we've drafted before. Maybe we have. Probably have. If you draft a lot and how much I draft, I'm sure we have. Randall's in. Let's go. Crowman. I don't know if I have. I don't know if we have. Vapor's in. Let's do it. Hopefully we're not too close to each other, sniping each other, and I'll have to keep it hush hush on what I'm doing if we are. And some things are obvious. To be honest, I like the badge rooms, the experienced drafters. That's why I like the big money, $250 entry drafts, those types of things, because you know what people are doing. You can figure it out what they're doing in the direction that you're going, or they're going, sorry, and they know what you're doing. It's all good, and everybody's just building their build. You're not trying to just snipe each other and do stupid shit for no good reason. Let's, do your build. We're all drafting volume. Build your team, structure it accordingly. No badge. Fuck, badges don't mean shit. It's just they draft a lot. That's the only thing it means. Friday night with only one other badge. Those ones can get interesting. That is the interesting thing with the badges, because you can probably, you think you can, they typically are going to do certain things, but I've seen badge guys do some crazy, stupid shit that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But sometimes the badge list rooms can get crazy, and even cancel drafts, things like that. That's just a huge pain in the ass and such a waste of time. Nothing pisses me off more than wasting my time in a canceled draft. Oh, it just drives me nuts. Thankfully, they put a cap on quarterback drafting now. That's new to Underdog, which is fantastic. You can only draft 5, I believe, is the max for quarterbacks, which is great. So hopefully it puts a little bit of an end to this nonsense. Hopefully they just straight up ban these accounts that do it. Just kick them off one time. That's it. You're done. Kick them off. You're done. RT Sports, I don't even know what that is. Jeez. When I was young, I was drafting on Yahoo, doing Yahoo drafts. Then I went to ESPN, sleepers there. For fantasy, it's been I don't know. I only do best ball on Underdog. Realistically, I should probably branch out. I really hate the product on DraftKings, but I should get into drafters a little bit probably. But I realistically, until there's drafts that, or until there's a need, there's so many tournaments throughout the summer, the early tournament here, that I'm not even maxing Best Ball Mania until I get to the point where I'm maxing Best Ball Mania, which hopefully I can do this year. I'd like to. It's usually 100 that I do, 50 to 100, 75, whatever, something like that. And then I'll max enter a lot of the 20 max and whatever, those types of things. I don't need to move over is what I'm getting at. I don't need to move to a different site, but 5 QBs in a 24 and an 18. Yeah, that's what I thought. 5 in all yeah, that's perfect. You don't need more than 4 in an 18 rounder. That's for damn sure. And 5 in a 20. Yeah, that's more than enough. Looks like we're all in here. Yeah, Crowman number 2, Vapor 6. I'm 12. That's perfect. We're spaced out. We're not going to be sniping each other. At least not likely. At least not till the end of the draft. Catrone. I like that. Headband. That's cool. Headband doesn't mean anything, by the way. It's like 5, or it's not a big deal to get that. Neither is the friggin' helmet thing that I have. That means nothing either. I just thought it was cool. All right. CeeDee Lamb, that's the direction I go. Done over 60 drafts and 0 in the 102. Yeah. So I guess if you're in the 1-1, take CD, get some exposure. That's what I was saying earlier. If I'm in the 101, if I'm in the 1-1, I just take Christian McCaffrey, because it's pretty much the only time you're going to get exposure to him. So, you might get him at the 102, maybe sometimes, but if I'm in the 1-1, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. If I'm in the 1-2, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. That's just how I do it, because then I'm getting that exposure. Otherwise, you might not get any, right? Or you could take the stand where if you're top 4, you just draft, 100% Jamar Chase, or 100% Tyreek Hill, or whatever. You can have that strategy too, which is fine, but I don't do that personally. Vapor goes Breeze Hall. I have Breeze Hall over Bijan as well. That's what I was saying. I don't know why Bijan's moved ahead of Breece Hall. I'm not really sure why that happened. I can see why he's moving ahead of Justin Jefferson, like I talked about in the first draft there, but I'm not really sure why Bijan's moved ahead of Breece Hall. I have Breece Hall ahead of him. That makes sense. We'll see what happens here, but I might be going RB. And then build out, like I was saying in that first draft, hammer running back, get my, 5. I actually hope that Garrett Wilson goes here. I hope he does. If he doesn't, I'll begrudgingly take him. Or maybe not. Maybe I won't. I think you can go Gibbs here. Okay. So it's either like Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley or Garrett Wilson, and then one of those two is kind of how it goes here for me. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson because I just can't not, and I'm going to take Saquon. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Saquon with that offensive line. Yeah. Kellen Moore runs the ball more than people think. Yeah, man. I was saying about halfway through the year last year on Twitter that CeeDee Lamb's going to be in the conversation for the 1-1 next year is what I said. And here we are. He's there. So, yeah, CeeDee Lamb is really good. I don't know how he fell into the lap of the Cowboys in that draft. That was madness. That was absolute madness. But good for the Cowboys, I guess. Breeze over Bijan, me too. That's how I have it. I don't know why. I understand Bijan moving up, but I don't know how or why he's moved up ahead of Breece Hall. That one's a little mind-boggling for me. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Especially with the lack of like competition for production and targets with Atlanta versus the Jets. Yes, I think the Jets bring in a rookie wide receiver for sure, but Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they bring in Darnell Mooney, they bring in Rondell Moore, they have Bijan, they have Tyler Algier, and the Jets have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Tyler Conklin, sure. 5.5 targets a game, Tyler Conklin. Death taxes, and Tyler Conklin gets 5.5 targets a game, 87 targets. Sure. If you didn't know that, he's had fucking 87 targets like 3 years in a row. Yeah. 87 targets, 61 catches, 58 catches, 61 catches. That's consistency right there. Nothing wrong with that. Death, taxes, and 87 targets a year for Tyler Conklin. Sorry, Pot Daddy, man. We were talking about it. My bad. My bad, man. We were talking about it. Just decided to pop in another one. There was enough desire to pop off another draft, so we hopped in another one. Vaporware and Randall jumped in. My bad, man. My bad. Should have mentioned it earlier, but we're drafting. It's draft season. We got about a month. What is it? The 20, almost 20th, 17th. We got about a month until this wraps up full or not. I'm sure this will fill. Very sure of that. I'll be max entering it. I got about 50 left. Happy to have that 50. Level out my exposure to where I want it. And hopefully bank a tournament. I had a lot of success in this last year, this tournament. I always say if I think I have an edge, it's in these early drafts. So yeah, in my head, I have an edge. Whether I do or not, I don't know. Who knows really? But I think I have an edge. And if I think I have an edge, then I have to get as many of these early drafts in as possible. So I'll be maxing this for sure. Max the little board as well. I don't think there'll be another one that gets launched before the draft, the NFL draft. So this will probably be it. This is what, 200,000 entries, 223 or something like that, 1,000 entries. So they got to fill this. That's where the focus will be for Underdog. That's for sure, is getting this full, which it will. And I didn't max it last year. I think I went 100. I think I went 100 drafts last year, and like, fuck, I can't remember. I think it was like between 30 and 40%, 30 and 35. I'll say 30 and 35% advance rate. So I think it was 33. I had 100 drafts, and I think I had 33 advance, if my memory serves me correctly. It's on Twitter somewhere, but I always do, tweet my advance rate and everything like that. So I think it was 33 out of 100, 33% advance rate. Very solid, nothing crazy. I'm sure there's people that have more. I'm positive there's people that have less. So I'm fine with that. All right, we'll go through the picks in a second here. What everyone else picked. I got Saquon, Garrett Wilson. In this build, I might have gone Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. I'm definitely going to go with Derrick Henry here. And then, like I said, man, it's really convenient to take Sam Laporta here. But do I want Malik Neighbors? I think I need to up my exposure to Neighbors a little bit. I definitely need to. And Sam Laporta is one of my highest exposed tight ends. I just really like taking 2 tight ends in these builds. I really, really do. I really do. So I'm going to take Laporta. I need to get some more Malik Neighbors exposure, but I really, really like to take just 2 tight ends in these builds. It just opens up a lot more options, I think. Done the best in this and Best Ball Resurrection. I don't even do the resurrections. I don't know why. I've done enough. I don't know. I've done my research. I've done my drafts. I've done enough. And do weekly stuff and then DFS and shit like that. So I actually don't do the resurrections, even the playoff, the returns. I don't do those actually. I don't. I should. I probably should, but I don't. So I don't know why. Again, DFS has kicked off the dailies, right? Or the weeklies, whatever you want to call it. The battle royales, they've kicked off. So I kind of just plug away at those. Yeah. Plus, Vapor, I'm sure you've got hundreds of drafts too. But I've already got 300 or 400 drafts that I'm kind of just drafted out a little bit. Mind you. Well, the battle royales are like 10 minutes, right? They're like quick 6 picks, whatever. But let's go through who the picks are here. Crowman, Randall, am I saying that right? Ducot? Is it French? You French Canadian? Let me know. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, and Mike Evans. I'm kind of fading Mike Evans personally a little bit. I'm just concerned that he had so much success last year. He's kind of been a little bit, up and down. No, you're not French Canadian. Good, to be honest. I'm Canadian, but I'm definitely not French Canadian. And I'm just joking for all the French Canadians out there. It's just a joke. Just relax. But your name should be French though, isn't it? Not saying you are. I'm just saying that I think that's a French name. They probably can't do underdog. Yeah, they can't do a lot of things in Quebec. They can't do a lot of things. So either way, I shouldn't be trashing on the French Canadians too much. But CeeDee Lamb, back to Mike Evans. Yeah, I'm kind of fading Mike Evans a little bit. I just think this is a little bit too high ADP. If he was, in these 40s, late 30s, maybe late 30s, early 40s. I'm just not so sure. I love Mike Evans too. Don't be like, oh, he's a Mike Evans hater. I've always been a habitual Mike Evans defender. Actually, I've been saying that he's habitually been underrated. He's one of the best wide receivers. Realistically, he's a Hall of Famer, no question. But I just think that ADP is a little expensive. So I don't have a crazy amount of Mike Evans, if I'm being honest. James Cook, love the pick. Trey McBride, perfectly happy with those. Yeah, this is a good looking squad you got building out. That's for sure. Little fragile on the running back side, which is perfectly fine. That's a very, 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 very viable strategy to win these tournaments. So I like what you're building there. That's for sure. Vapor, Breece Hall, love it. Devontae Adams. That's either going to be an absolute smash or it might not be, right? I mean, Devontae Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the game, period. He is. It's just the quarterback situation that's a little sketchy. You know what you're doing, though. You know what you're getting into. I'm not telling you something you don't know. Um, but that's a quality pick right there. That's for sure. I'm taking Devontae Adams over Nico Collins. That's for sure. I'm taking Devontae Adams over Stephon Diggs. I'm taking Devontae Adams over Marvin Harrison. So realistically, you just crush the value there over those 3 wide receivers. I would take him over all 3 of those. So there you go. Chris Olave, I love. I've been trying to get more exposure. I don't know why I was fading him so much. 5 straight. Oh no, okay. You got and Roma Dunze, you got my guy. That's value too, I think. I think that's value. He's 49 or something like that, ADP. Oh, nailed it. 54. That's a little bit of value there. Love it. Yeah, good looking squad. Good looking squads we got going on here, I think, fellas. Who's on my team again? Barkley, Henry, Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta. Where are we going? I don't mind taking a dry CJ Stroud here. Might be a little early for 2 tight ends. By might be, I mean it's definitely too early to take 2 tight ends. I think that we know Brian Thomas for sure. Brian Thomas for sure. And I'll tell you what I think in a second. And then I think I got to take one of these quarterbacks. I think I got to take. I have a fair amount of Anthony Richardson. I need more CJ Stroud. And what I just said, I'm okay with taking a naked CJ Stroud. I can bring this back with Dalton Schultz. I have to bring it back with Dalton Schultz, and I will. And that'll probably be good. I'll go Sam Laporta and Dalton Schultz. I said it earlier in the previous one. As long as one of you guys don't stymie me. But I'll probably be taking Dalton Schultz here because then I'll be good. I'll be okay at 2 tight ends with Sam Laporta and Dalton Schultz. I think that's okay. Another thing I think Brian Thomas, if the Jets don't trade up, I think it's fully on the table that the Jets draft Brian Thomas at 10 or 11, whatever they are, 10th overall, I think. I think that's fully on the table to pair with Garrett Wilson. So this might be a good spot to bring in Aaron Rodgers. And then even if I do take Dalton Schultz, I could also bring in, 5.5 targets a game, Tyler Conklin. So we'll see. I got some options. That's your first Adams share. I don't have much. What am I at? Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. I don't have a crazy amount, but I try to force him. I try to force it in there because he's Devontae Adams. 3. I only have 3. So I need to force that in there a little bit more. Oh, we got a slow draft pick coming here. Ooh, I'll probably take ETN there, but let's go back to where we're at. Right here. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to fit Devontae Adams in more because he is that good. Hey, you got to get unique. Right? That what I was just saying about the Spike Week tool. That's why I want it. I don't really love the overlay thing that it has on here. I don't really like that. I don't really need it. It's okay because it shows your percentage. Cool, but I like to keep on top of that for the most part, so I kind of know it. But it's more my what's it called? Like your combinations. There we go. It's more the combinations that help you to get unique. Even if you have like 30% of a player, you might not have exposure to him and another player that you really like, or you know what I mean? Like you gotta even out those combinations to make sure you're getting exposed to certain players at the right places or certain places, right? So that's why I like that Spike Week tool, and I think I should get it. I really do. Even if I don't even have the overlay, which I probably won't, because I don't love it, but I do like the combinations kind of tracker or tracking system or whatever you want to call it. I like that a lot. So I think I should get it. Does anyone have it? Does anyone have the Spike Week tool in the chat? Do you guys have the Spike Week tool? Whether you use the overlay or not, let me know. Let me know what you think. But I think I should get it, and I do really like it. It's a good tool. And I like those guys too. The Spike Week guys are legit. They know what they're doing. No, no one has it, eh? You guys, do you guys agree with me? You think that's a good tool? Again, $300 for a year, $300 annual for the tool. And let's face it, we're pretty much drafting year round, right? Well, I am. And it's that combination tracker that I really like. I really, really like. So yeah, I want it. I think. I think I want it. I think I'm gonna get it. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a fairly large upfront cost. It's however many Best Ball Mania drafts. But again, if you win a tournament or you even place high, you bank a good dollar amount from that, then hell yeah, it's 100% worth it, right? No question. No question. It's completely worth it. Get a discount code. I should hit up the Spike Week guys. I talk about it on here enough. Should get it for free. I talk about it on here enough. What do I want to do here? A lot of running backs that I like in this range. I would have taken Deontay Johnson. I like Deontay Johnson even on that team. If you don't like him, that's fine. I could go Jameson Williams here and then backdoor myself into 108, 109. 108, 109, and just snipe this guy on Jared Goff. I could go that route because he has no other quarterback. I'm sure he's thinking he's just going to take Jared Goff, I think. I'm definitely going to probably, but I could also, and that's what I think I'm going to do, is just double tap running back. Could go David Njoku. I'm going to go Najee and DeAndre Swift. Yeah, I'm backing myself into what I want to get more exposure of. More, again, this combination tool would be fantastic for this because I want to build a bunch of 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, 5 running back, smash wide receiver. What is that? 11 wide receivers? 2, 5, 7, 9, 11. Yeah, 11 wide receivers, right? That's a build, that's a structure that I want more exposure to, if that makes sense. I really want to get more exposure to, I don't even know what you would call that build, power running back. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but I just think that there's too much value at the end of these drafts at wide receiver. That's what I think. That's what I think I know. Whether I know it or not, and I'm right or not, that's what I think I know. Is there's too much value at the end of these drafts where you can just piss yellow for the last 6 picks or whatever it is and just hammer wide receiver, fill out your room with volume and quantity. And all you got to do is hit 1 wide receiver late. That's it, 1. I've got Garrett Wilson and Brian Thomas, who I think will both hit. Garrett Wilson almost for sure, right? You know what you're going to get for the most part. As long as I get a couple and then you just get spike weeks, week in, week out. That's what I think I know. Whether I'm right or not, I don't know. We'll see. Since Roma Dunze, Vapor brings in Alvin Kamara, who I think is undervalued right now. Yes, he's old, dusty running back, but I think Alvin Kamara has a ton of value. He did what he did after missing 3 games last year. The team, I don't want to say should be better, but he's going to catch the same or more passes this year, and he has that touchdown upside. I like Alvin Kamara. Brock Bowers, quality pick. I want him to go to my Bengals. I'd be happy with Brock Bowers at 18 or right tackle. But Brock Bowers might be a Bengal. Either way, he's probably going to be a first-round tight end, which doesn't happen a crazy amount. So there should be some juice there. Ramondre, was he a discount? I think he was. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Perfect. Good pick. That's completely fine. Where did he go around? Javonte, Mostert, Eckler. Yeah. Good pick there. Solid discount. I don't love Ramondre. I was just talking about it earlier. I have a fair amount of exposure too. Arguably too much, but because they're just a bad team. But if you're getting them at, in the 8th round, that's perfectly viable. Since Trey McBride, Croman, Randall's got George Fant to go with Ayuk. Yeah, that's what I thought. Clearly bringing in some Brock Purdy. Oh, never mind. You got sniped on it. Awesome. Does he have anyone? Does he have Debo? Oh, wow. This guy's lost. So that's the kind of shit that'll happen, right? That's kind of stuff that'll happen in these drafts. David Montgomery, love that. He's going to do exactly what he did last year. Double-digit touchdowns, 800 yards, that sort of thing. Like that. That's just steady Eddie. You know what you're getting. Kyler, yep. With Trey, that's perfect. I don't even know if you need another one. Like what you're doing. Adonai Mitchell, one of my guys too. I like him. Yeah. I like our teams here. David Njoku, that's a discount too, I think. Jeez. Vaporware, just gobbling up some discount. Roma Dunze a little bit. That's huge for David Njoku. That's a massive get right there. Ramondre, yep. Nice juice there. I like the teams that everybody's building. Looks good. I would go with Zamir. I would go Trey Benson. I do need to get some wide receiver action. It's getting pretty thin, but it is what it is. I kind of made my bed. I could go I could still take Trevor Lawrence again, whether I don't know if I really want to. Could go get Jared Goff still and then just hammer some rookies. Like I said, I'm very confident that the Detroit Lions at least pick a rookie. So, or a wide receiver and have a rookie wide receiver on their team. Maybe Troy Franklin here. I just don't love him as a player, to be honest. Oh, Zach Moss is fully on the table. Yeah, I think I'm going to finish out my running back room here, and then I'm done. Pretty lofty to think that Trevor or Gabe Davis is going to fall to me, but I'm definitely going to go with Zach Moss, and then I'm done. And then I'm going to go Jared Goff because there's almost no way that Gabe Davis falls to me, and I don't want to just take a naked T-Law. So let's go Jared Goff. Somewhat begrudgingly, and I'll hope that I get a rookie wide receiver. Oh, the man, the myth, the legend, Pat, Fantasy Dog Pound. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So we're good. We're good at running back. I'm done there. To be honest, I could be okay at quarterback here. Could be okay. Walked into just a little Sunday fun day. Got the last sip of a beverage here. A little dark ale, traditional, it's called. Canada local special, We're having a good time. We're drafting. All right, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I was the 101, now I'm the 112, by the way, in the two drafts that we did today. The 101 and then the 112. Doesn't get any further, right? Yeah. Survival guide. Is that your survival guide? Is that what you're talking about? But that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And I'm trying to, maybe before you came in, I'm trying to get more exposure to these hyper fragile wide receiver builds, whatever you want to call them. I just think there's tons of value at the end of drafts at wide receiver. That's what I think. Whether I'm right or not, we'll kind of see. And to be honest, I should have taken Dalton Schultz instead of Jared Goff. That sucks, but we'll see what happens. I'm trying to build out more of these 2 quarterback, 2 tight ends, 5 running backs, and then just hammer wide receiver, just piss yellow for the majority of the back end of the draft. I just think there's tons of value. I do. I think there's a lot of veteran wide receivers that are falling down. And there's just a crazy amount of rookie talent with all of these teams in the NFL needing wide receiver this year. I just think that, yeah, and there's guys like Mike Williams that don't belong on draft boards. Like, if you're drafting Mike Williams, I'm sorry to tell you, but I think you're wrong. I just think you're wrong. We'll see where he lands, but I'm not taking him, at least not very much. Actually, it's 0. Not very much, as in 0. I have 0 shares. T-Lot of Vaporware. He can probably bring it back with Gabe Davis there. I wouldn't be able to, so c'est la vie. Crowman, Jonathan Brooks. I just can't get behind Jonathan Brooks. I just can't. Rookie running back. Torn ACL. For him to come in to a team, learn the offense without playing, no preseason likely. It's going to be tough to earn the trust of his team, his teammates, his coaches. We'll see. I don't think he's the running back 1 so clearly that, he just is the running back 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think it's that cut and dry that he's RB1. I really don't. I think there's some other contenders in there. Trey Benson, even Braylon Allen, Jalen Wright. All these guys are right there in the conversation for RB1. And there's not a crazy amount of landing spots where they're just the starter. Chargers, you couldn't really say that he's just the starting running back with Gus Edwards there. Dallas, yes. Dallas is the one spot. That's the one spot that and Randall just said it too in the chat. That's the one spot. And everybody just thinks he's going to Dallas. Maybe he is, because they did his surgery. Yes, we all know that they did the surgery on his knee, and they know him, blah, blah, blah. It's very possible. And if he does, and he goes there and he kicks me in the teeth, and he's Breece Hall from last year, and I eat my words, it is what it is. Then, that's how she goes. You win some, you dim some, man. But I just don't think that that's what's, yeah, it might happen, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Not a bad person to pair CeeDee Lamb. It's really not. That's a good strategy, and you wouldn't want Dak in that build. Trey Benson can land in Dallas. Marshawn Lloyd can land in Dallas. Braylon Allen can land in Dallas. Blake Corum, even though I don't like him whatsoever, could land in Dallas. Right? It's the number 1 spot. That's why we draft these rookie running backs. We just hope that guy, we have the guy that lands in Dallas, right? My exposure says I want Marshawn Lloyd to be the Dallas Cowboys RB1, or I think it's very possible Marshawn Lloyd goes to the Chargers as well, which is a good spot for him. Same logic as the whole Jonathan Brooks to Dallas. Geez, I got to get on my game here. Where are we? Cole Kmet, maybe? Cole Kmet. Definitely Jahan Dotson. I have too much to be honest with you. Too much Jahan Dotson. But I'm done at running back. That's for sure. I'm going to end up having a naked CJ Stroud besides some rookie wide receivers. I'm going to scroll down and go with the magnificent, marvelous Mad Marvin Mims. And if you could tell me the movie that's from, you earn bonus points. The magnificent, marvelous, mad Marvin Mims. That's not the quote from the movie, but it's pretty dang close. And if you could tell me the movie that's from, you get some brownie points from me. What's Fields' ADP now? I don't know. 160s or something? Not even. He's going in the 160s. So it's going to plummet. It takes what, like 24 hours, 48 hours or something like that for the ADPs to update on Underdog. But I've seen him be going in the 50s, 60s, 150s, 160s, things like that. It's got to plummet, absolutely plummet to probably right where Russell Wilson is, right around there. It's got to be right around 180, 190-ish. It's got to fall to right around here is where he'll probably settle, right in this area. Right in this area. Right in that area. The new William Wonka movie. It's not the new William Wonka movie. The film is called The Sword in the Stone. It's an old cartoon. The magnificent, marvelous, mad Madam Mim is the quote. The wizard, the evil wizard in the movie is Madam Mim goes up against Merlin in a wizard duel. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's an awesome film. I don't care what anyone says. So we're getting off the rails here. CJ Stroud is going to be naked on this team, which is really ugly, and it is what it is. I was hoping to get Dalton Schultz, and I should have taken him where I took Goff and Zach Moss. I should have taken Goff and Schultz is how I should have gone on that one, but it is what it is. Zach Moss, I'm weak for my Bengals, I guess. It is what it is. Like I said, done at running back, Saquon, Henry, Najee, big backs. You gotta love that. The power backs, the goal line backs, touchdown upside. DeAndre Swift, I'm trying to up my exposure to Swift a little bit. I think he's in a good spot. I like that spot in Chicago. That offensive line is looking really good. People think they need a left tackle. They do not. Braxton Jones is good. He's a good left tackle in this league, and he's proved it 2 years in a row. I don't care that he's drafted in the 5th round or 4th round, whatever it was. Braxton Jones can play in the NFL. Darnell Wright is their right tackle now. Nate Davis is there. Tevin Jenkins, and then some center they just got. I want to say Lloyd Cushenberry? I can't remember, but they did just get a center as well. The offense line's a good spot, so I like that. And then Zach Moss, who should outscore Chase Brown. Mind you, I love me some Chase Brown. He's I have him everywhere in leagues. But I think that Zach Moss probably outscores him in fantasy. All right, where are we? Definitely still need some wide receivers. I'm good at running back. We'll see at quarterback. I'm going to be 3 tight ends. That's fine. I know that. It is what it is. I would have went Roman Wilson, but here we are. I like Xavier Legette. Again, these rookie wide receivers I like. I have Cade Otton over Michael Mayer. For some reason, people don't like Cade Otton. But I have Cade Otton over Michael Mayer. I could go Ricky Pearsall, which I might, and I will because I like Laporta. He's going to be in my lineup most weeks. Let's go Ricky Pearsall and Xavier Legette. Again, rookie wide receivers, mid-late rounds. I guess 14th round through the end of the draft. I really think there's tons of value there. Specifically with those players, I don't particularly like Jalen Polk. I don't particularly like Malachi Corley, but I am taking him where it makes sense. This would be a team that it probably would make sense. I don't know if I'll take him or not. Same thing with Devontae Walker. I don't really like him as a prospect, as a player, but if he falls and it makes sense, or I need a rookie, like if I have, let's say this is a veteran, or I have zero rookie sort of thing, and he falls a little bit, I'll take Devontae Walker. Same with Malachi Corley. I have some Polk from early in the season, but watching film at the combine, not a huge fan there. But then it picks up again. I love me some Malik Washington. I like Javon Walker quite a bit. I like Jermaine Burton fair amount. Yeah. Jacob Cowing, I don't hate. And I even have a little bit of Taj Washington in there, a little bit. So there you go. There you go. And throw, like I said, throw Xavier Legette, Ricky Pierce all in that. Roman Wilson's in there. Yeah. I like these mid-round rookie wide receivers and late-round rookie wide receivers. Let's see where we're at. Vaporware, since David Njoku brings in Trevor Lawrence, Rashid Shaheed, Cole Kmet, Aaron Rodgers, Roshan Johnson. Yep, I'm all right with that. Did you get sniped on Caleb Williams? Not even. But is that a reach? Burnell, where is he at? Did he reach for Caleb? Yes, he did. So I guess he did get kind of sniped there. That's annoying. Roshan Johnson, Crowman, Dante in the chat. Since Jonathan Brooks, Lad McConkey, Marshawn Lloyd, highest exposed player in my entire portfolio. Marshawn Lloyd, not a problem with that. Matt Stafford, Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, Darnell Mooney. Interesting. Got sniped on Brock Purdy, which was pretty rude. Brought in Kyler to stack up with Trey McBride. I like that. Lad McConkey, very polarizing. Very, very polarizing prospect, Lad McConkey. I'm not 100% sure what to think of Lad McConkey. I'm drafting him. I'm certainly drafting him. Talking about how I like rookie wide receivers, so I'm definitely drafting him. What am I doing here? Do I need another quarterback? You know what? I'm going to call it good at quarterback because I'm so fragile here at wide receiver. Mind you, I like this room. I like this wide receiver room. Just a little fragile. And if I think that Jared Goff is good enough in a 2 quarterback build with a better quarterback, then I have to think, I picked him at 61. I have to think that he's going to be okay. CJ Stroud and Jared Goff. So I need tight end help, which could definitely bring in Jonnu right here. Without getting A-Rod, I don't need Tyler Conklin. I like Jatavian Sanders here. I think Jonnu is the way to go, and I might just... It's either Malachi Corley or Rashad Bateman, and I think given the rookies that I have already, I think Bateman is perfectly viable here. Or Corley. It's between Malachi Corley and Rashad Bateman. Tiebreakers. I mean, Corley to Houston from Western Kentucky. Yeah, I got to go Bateman here. He really has to take this step, Rashad Bateman. He has to take this step. It's on the table for him to do that. They're not going to be bringing back OBJ. They did bring back Nelson Aguilar, but you have to think that they think and want Rashad Bateman to be that wide receiver 2 in this offense. And it's now or never. It really is. It's either this year and then he gets another contract, or the same thing happens and he won't be on this team anymore. That's where the Ravens have to be at with Rashad Bateman. Caleb and Gabe Davis. Yeah, it looked like you're going to be able to get Gabe Davis to bring back with T-Law and then Caleb. I love building that Chicago stack. It's going to be a little more difficult now that they've officially traded away Justin Fields. So it's going to be a little more difficult to and with Keenan Allen coming in, now you can bring back those stacks, right? You can not get DJ Moore. You can not even get Keenan Allen, and you could just double tap, add a wraparound with Caleb and Cole Kmet. Or, yeah, you can get one of those wide receivers a little bit earlier and then bring in Kmet and Caleb Williams, or just go Caleb with one of those wide receivers. So it's going to get a little bit more difficult to build, but I have a fair amount of DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and Caleb Williams, and I'm happy with that. I think I need to get in some more Keenan Allen with Kmet and Caleb Williams, or just Keenan Allen, Caleb Williams. I don't think I have a single share of Keenan Allen. Just didn't like him at that ADP on the Chargers. I don't think anyone expected that trade to the Bears. So here we are. So I think I need to pick up some Keenan Allen shares, and you can always bring it back with Caleb Williams, who, I mean, everybody's saying it, and it's very true. And it's not just the weapons, that he's walking into a fantastic situation in Chicago. Again, it's not just the weapons. The weapons are great now, but it's the offensive line. The defense is in a pretty good spot. The Bears are legit. They're going to be a legit team next year. I think they're going to push for a wild card. That division is tough, man. The Vikings are going to be poo-poo, bottom of the barrel in that division, almost for sure. And then like Bears, Lions, and Packers, all three can make the playoffs, realistically. I think that's fully on the table for the NFC North. But we'll see. But that's definitely on the table. All right, how many picks do we have left here? Getting off course again. 4 more picks. I need 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Tons of tight end availability here. Darren Waller will never sniff one of my lineups, that's for sure. Gesicki, like I said, Gesicki's certainly viable, but he's, with Tanner Hudson coming back, I don't think it's just cut and dry that Mike Gesicki is going to be the starter at tight end for the Bengals. Yeah, it's going to be one of these tight ends for me, pretty much for sure. Ben Sinnott needs to change his fucking number. Certainly can't play in the NFL wearing 34 as a tight end. That was so ugly when I was watching film on him. Definitely going tight end here, and then obviously a wide receiver. So this could be an option with taking Rashad Bateman, veteran there. This could be an option where I take Devontae Walker, even though I don't really like him. I could be completely wrong. There's that. That's first and foremost. I could be completely fucking wrong, which is very, very borderline likely. So, oh man, this guy's 0 tight ends. He's got to be picking one here, and it's got to be Noah Fant. As long as he doesn't take Jatavian Sanders, which he might. I might miss out on tight ends here. That sucks. And then I'll have to take Gesicki, I guess. Yeah, I suppose. Nice. So he's going to take Fant right here, and Devontae Walker goes. That sucks, but no big deal. I guess I just take Noah Brown. Kind of have to. I need something now that he's resigned. Even though I think a rookie comes in and easily, relatively easily supplants Noah Brown, but we saw what he can do last year. So yeah, this would be my first Noah Brown share, but it makes sense with this build. And there goes Noah Fant. Yeah, JT Sanders, Jatavian Sanders, and Noah Brown. And then 2 more wide receivers to finish it out. Yeah. I don't love taking Noah Brown here, even though it makes complete sense, but let's just do what we have to do. You might not like it sometimes, but I always say roster construction is the most important thing when we're drafting best ball teams. It is the most important thing you can possibly do or think about is roster construction. Roster construction, roster construction, roster construction. Those are the three most important things. So it makes sense. I got to do it. It is what it is. It is what it is. 2-5-8, 3 so far. Going to bring it back with 2 more wide receivers. 2-5-10, 3. Definitely a different kind of, again, roster construction that I do typically, but it makes sense. And I actually like this team. I like this team more than the previous team that I drafted, and the other team might be arguably better, but we'll see. CJ Stroud, Jared Goff, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, Jahan Dotson, Marvin Mims, the magnificent, marvelous Mad Marvin Mims, Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall, Rashad Bateman, Noah Brown, Sam Laporta, Jonnu Smith, Jatavian Sanders. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. No more than a 1-round reach, which is typically my rule, which is right there with Marvin Mims, right there with Ricky Pearsall. I don't typically like to stray too much more than 1 round from ADP. That's why I draft with ADP and don't actually have rankings. I have my own rankings kind of in my head, if you will. I know you can do both. You can do your rankings and the ADP. You can do that and kind of toggle, kind of like I'm doing right here, which is a cool new feature. Gotta love Underdog. They're always keeping it fresh. Always coming out with new stuff, which I love and everybody appreciates, I'm sure. But I just like to go off ADP, and then I just stay relatively close. Again, 1 round. But the later it goes scroll down as far as you want. Past realistically, like round 12 or 14, scroll down as far as you want. Get your guys, roster construction, stacks, blah, 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 things like that. Correlation once we know the schedule. Which I always say too on here, a little bit of tiebreakers sometimes. If you have players that play in the same division or same conference, for sure, that could be a tiebreaker, and then just hope you fall into a week 17 correlation. If it's a tiebreaker, it's certainly not something you should really focus on as when you're drafting. But if it's a tiebreaker between 2 players, certainly something you can do. Yeah, 2 wide receivers, and we're calling it a day. Unless there was a quarterback that fell or made sense, but no one does. 2 wide receivers. Demarcus Robinson, perfectly viable. I like him. I'm drafting him a little bit. Greg Dortch, definitely viable. Alec Pierce still barely gets drafted. I think he's doable. Ran the most go routes out of anyone in the NFL last year with Gardner Minshew, who was never willing to throw that ball, but guess who is? AR-15, one of the stronger arms in the NFL. Alec Pierce might see a few more spike weeks, a few more deep touchdowns this year. So I like Alec Pierce. Not that I'm going to draft him in this team, but I do think he's certainly on the table as a 20th round free pick. Rookies don't particularly make sense. I think Luke McCaffrey needs to put in some work. He needs to learn how to play the position. Former quarterback, CMC's brother, obviously. He needs to learn the position a little bit more. He just needs some reps, some coaching, some practice, all that kind of stuff. I don't think he's necessarily viable as a rookie. Maybe I do take Alec Pierce. I am going to take Demarcus Robinson. And maybe I do take Alec Pierce just for those spike weeks, because that's kind of what I need out of this fragile wide receiver room. I actually need some spike weeks, kind of one play, fall into the end zone. I mean, I like Greg Dortch a fair amount too. Let's go Greg Dortch. Doing it. I like Greg Dortch. I think they probably do go with Marvin Harrison at 4, but that shouldn't really affect Greg Dortch's production whatsoever. Just the way he plays, everything's underneath, right? That sort of a thing with Greg Dortch. So, yeah, perfectly viable, especially 20th round. I could see him moving up too. He has been moving up, and I could see him continue to move up, even if and when they do draft a wide receiver, a 4th overall. Unless they draft 3 straight wide receivers or something like that, which would make no sense. Unless they do that, then I think he's perfectly viable. So we're wrapped up. Hit that like button while you're here, please. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, turn on notification bell. This is a random episode right here. So if you didn't have the notification bell, you've never been able to hop in. So hit that notification bell every Wednesday night for sure. Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern, 7 p.m. where I live. Every Wednesday we'll be doing that, but there'll be some random pop-offs here like this one. Tuesdays, Thursdays, maybe Fridays. Here we are, Sunday fun day. Vapor, Randall, appreciate you guys hopping in, sticking with me, all the comments, all the chatter. Pat, Fantasy Dog Pound, thanks for popping in. Putt Daddy, good seeing you again. Yeah, I appreciate it. We're trying to grow this sucker out a little bit more and keep it going. Let's take a look at Vapor since Aaron Rodgers, Roshan Johnson, Zay Jones, bringing it back. Obviously, the Trevor Lawrence. I would have went Parker Washington. I think there you go. There you go. I like Parker Washington. Yeah, you're just waiting. That makes sense. I think Parker Washington might have a bigger role in this offense than Zay Jones. Might. I'm not going to, hang my hat on that. I'm not going to, write it down in ink in my dear diary, but I just think that Parker Washington has a bigger role when all is said and done. We'll see. Derek Carr, Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby, A.T. Perry. I like doing that. I bring that a lot as well. Derek Carr with A.T. Perry. Yeah, hurts a little bit. They just brought in somebody, I can't remember, that might hurt that a little bit. But let's go back into this. But I've been doing that as well. Derek Carr with maybe you have Alvin Kamara. I've been doing that as well. Alvin Kamara, bring it back with Derek Carr and A.T. Perry. Rashid Shaheed. I think you drafted Rashid Shaheed too. Well done. Fetching the draft, taking its time. I don't know if it's going to come up. Randall, we might not be able to talk about your draft. That's how she goes sometimes. Can't get everything we want in this world, It's a tough world out there. Well, that's it. I'll give it one more shot for you. Dead. That's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in the chat again. Hit that like button on your way out. I really appreciate it. Turn on the notification bell. And share it online if you like what you hear for Saints Mega Stack. Yeah, that's a little risky, but hey, you got to get that value when you can. Appreciate you guys coming on. Like we always say, or Wednesday, we'll be back Wednesday. So come out Wednesday, 9 p.m. in the East, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. If you're afraid to be wrong, you will never be right. Hopefully today we were right. Sunday fun day. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you.